Okay, boxing fans, right now we're going to talk about Brian Rose getting stopped in the first round by Carson Jones. This was, it was a fight that never really got going. They felt each other out for a little bit. They then started swinging, and Rose tagged Jones first, then Jones came back, and Brian Rose got tagged. His equilibrium was all over the place. He had no defence. He was doing a bit of a chicken dance, and he got stopped in the first round by referee Ian John Lewis. And a lot of people think that it was a bad stoppage, but in fairness to Ian John Lewis, the opponent Brian Rose took a lot of unanswered punches, and he did do a chicken dance. You're asking to get stopped under those kind of circumstances. But saying that it was premature and it was a British stoppage, and the outcry that's happened since is a bit of a joke, really, because they're only bothered because it's a British guy getting stopped via British stoppage. That no one would give a shit if it was Carson Jones getting stopped under the same circumstances. What do you reckon, Paul?
No, I agree 100%. People are only crying because it was a Sky fighter who's suffered a fate that normally falls the away fighter
Yeah, the
sort of
B-side.
thing. How many Sky fighters win fights via this method, where it's just they land a couple of good shots, the guy stumbles, referee jumps in, waves it off, and all of a sudden the commentators are going bananas and talking about how great they are. And it's finally, for once, the shoe is on the other foot, and a load of suckasses are kicking off and whining, saying, "Oh, it's a disgrace." You weren't crying and complaining and calling for Ian John Lewis to be sacked when it was the home fighter benefiting from dodgy decisions, which they have done. And it's not just Ian John Lewis, even though he is probably the worst of the bunch, at least in my opinion.
Second worst, I think.
Behind who? Howard Foster?
Yeah, Howard Foster.
Well, that's up for debate. But Ian John Lewis, mate, he's got a terrible rap sheet, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's done this sort of thing before. The one that springs to mind is Enzo Maccarinelli and Oval McKenzie. That has got to be, to this day, the worst stoppage in boxing history, in my opinion.
It was a bad
It really
stoppage.
has.
That was very bad.
This one was not a patch on that. If you've not seen it, people then go search Enzo Maccarinelli versus Oval McKenzie, the first fight, and just look at that stoppage. Oh my God. With this fight, I can understand why it was stopped, and I can understand why Rose was annoyed and why he kicked off, because this is pretty much his career over now. It's over at a relevant level anyway, because what's he going to do now? Where's he going to go? He's just going to be a gatekeeper at best now. Getting stopped in the first round by a blown-up welterweight is not the way you get back to world level.
It's true.
So,
It's true.
Brian Rose, he was in Blackpool as well, wasn't he? He was in Blackpool,
hometown.
which is his hometown. It was a big show for him. He wanted to put on a performance, and it's just been an absolute nightmare. So I can understand why he was upset. But at the end of the day, mate, you've got to taste your own medicine, pretty much. Or maybe not you, but Sky and British fighters in general have got a taste of their own medicine. Because how many British fighters have won fights via a crap stoppage?
Yeah, and I think we could name a few now. I've just thought of another one. Lee Selby, when he stopped Rendell Munro. Munro just covered up, and there was a barrage of punches. They went into the gloves. The referee stopped it.
Yep. Brian Rose himself against Alcine. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
He was behind on all the scorecards, and he stopped Alcine in the 12th round, final round. And after that, Sky were going bananas, saying, "Oh, what a comeback by Brian Rose. What a victory. He's put himself in the world title stakes." They weren't kicking off then, saying it was a bad stoppage then, but they're going to kick off now.
Yeah,
no, pull the other one.
We can look at a lot of the stoppages where, like people like Anthony Joshua has won knockout. He's got a knockout on his record, stopping these guys on their feet without them going down, and it's debatable whether they were in how bad the trouble was. Were they about to get knocked clean unconscious? I don't know. It's definitely up for debate. Sprott, he was stopped on his feet. Baktov was stopped on his feet. And I don't think Baktov was that hurt.
Branton Gonzalez against James DeGale is another one.
Yeah, he got knocked out before he hit he got stopped before he hit the ground.
I know. So
that was Howard Foster. That though, you got to expect it from these guys. The point is, there's another point I just want to make. If you're gonna cry about it, at least you make some money on it, okay? If you see Ian John Lewis and you see Howard Foster in the ring, and you know there's a British fighter and a foreign fighter, get all your money, every single penny of your money, on the knockout, because they're gonna run in and stop it as soon as they can, because that's what they do. They
exactly,
stop
mate.
fights that quickly. They
Every
do it.
time I see Ian John Lewis, especially in the ring, my heart just sinks because I know he's just going to mess it up because he's messed it up so many times before, whether it's world title fights or whether it's just domestic fights. He almost always does something stupid that ruins a fight.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
he's well known for it now. He's got a reputation for it. People laugh at him about it, and he's
Well,
still getting a job with the BBFC. He's still reffing fights. Mate, he shouldn't ref a fight in the playground. Never
that's
mind,
right.
never mind boxing at a high level.
Yeah.
But nothing's going to happen. He's not going to get reprimanded. He's going to be reffing fights again next week. The BBFC are not going to get rid of him or anything like that. They'll stick up for him like they do with all the referees. Nothing will happen, so people can whine all they like.
Yeah, they'll just say something like, they'll come out with a statement, or he needs to get home quick for his wife, his wife on Valentine's Day or something. They'll make up
On,
their own little thing.
even on Valentine's Day, when men up and down the country were getting laid, Ian John Lewis still managed to be the most premature man in Britain. So fair play to him. Fair play to him over that.
Yeah, fair play to him. Just the only one thing I've got to ask is, please, if it's the WBO who are in charge of Matisse versus Provodnikov, do not employ a British referee to sort out that fight. I've not booked that day off, got all the booze in, all the whole shebang just for that fight to be called off in the first round, the first second when one of them when they both start swinging. I can just imagine British referees shitting themselves in that fight. It's embarrassing, actually, isn't it? It's actually quite embarrassing. If we weren't making a joke out of it and laughing about it, it would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? But the fight, the fight's over anyway. This video's gone on twice as long as the fight, so we'll leave it here. Tell us what you think about that fight. The logical conclusion will be that there'll be a rematch now. That's fine. So, welcome to the rematch, I guess. See you soon.